Hello and welcome to the Colour Forum, GMG's first podcast recording. And today I am joined by Paul Bromley. Paul, would you like to introduce yourself? And thank you very much for being our first ever guest.
Yep, no, thank you, Joe. It's an honour that I've been given this mantle of the first ever podcast guest. So thank you for that, firstly. Yeah, I'll just cover a bit about myself. Paul Bromley. I work at Durst as the sales manager, business developer for UK, Ireland and Europe. And essentially my role is to work with existing customers, also find new customers for the Durst software aspect of the business. I've been in the industry since 16 years old. I've gone through all of the transitions and huge changes from film to CTP to direct imaging to high-speed inkjet. Pretty much seen it all. And my background really latterly is colour management and workflow automation.
So that's moving from like the hardware as Durst was kind of really known for over to the software side of things. And I guess you are now solving problems and you have brought in this solution, which really is helping the industry. Would you like to talk us through that and how exactly Durst is putting that platform together?
Yeah, I think many people will know about Durst in the sign and display market as a printer manufacturer, making some of the best devices on the market. But what a lot of people probably don't realise is that over the last several years, Durst has I would say, evolved into a software-led business as well, mainly the vision of our CEO and owner in regards to software does complement hardware. Um, so the real story today is about the complete workflow, I would say, ecosystem that we've built around hardware. And I'll say this many times today, it's not just Durst badges. It's software that can genuinely help a business meet some of these challenges head on. So we as a business believe that, hardware is fantastic, but it only solves part of the problem. What businesses really need is to be connected and have an intelligent workflow that handles, everything from when you first deal with a customer or the first customer touch point, if you are letting them self-serve, right through to the finished job leaving your business. So parcels, boxes, pallets, however that may be. And that's exactly what we built. And that's what we're hopefully here to talk about today.
So your first touch point, I do believe that has a name. I'll let you talk about Smart Shop.
Yeah, I think if we look at where the open software initiative is probably the best terminology that we'll use today, is what that means is you can have systems already in place and you're looking to add another software solution possibly. And it's to understand that those islands of software, if you will, they should be and can be connected. So I think where Durst, where we started our journey, is with how can a business be more profitable? How can they expand what they do? How can they extend their offering? So Smart Shop is Durst's web to print solution, or print on demand solution, as people are now migrating away from web to print because it seems like a bit of a legacy terminology, but essentially it is. So print on demand is where you have a web storefront, and that web storefront has a look and a feel about it. It can target B2B, which is what we promote first, which is work with your existing customers, give them a portal, make them feel special, allow them to place their own orders in this Amazon-esque world that we're all used to. We order it today, we want it tomorrow. And then we also allow within the Smart Shop the ability for a company to then see where their job is, track it, trace it if you want, through shipping couriers and carriers. But essentially, the Smart Shop is a Durst software solution. It's a website, B2B or B2C. So B2C is where you're trying to almost copy Amazon with what they're doing, but with your own products. And it allows your customer to self-serve. So it could be to gain pricing, to upload artwork, to check where their order is, to track their job from start to finish. But Smart Shop is slightly different because it's where the automation begins. So that first entry or touch point is where a business is actually giving you the order, and then based on what happens next in your business is then where the automation can and should start.
Okay. And that brings us on to Lift, the ERP that is Durst's part of that journey. So it goes from the smart shop, and then talk us through the next stage.
Yeah. So again, what we're talking about today is this open software initiative where the software is connected, because this is what our vision is, and it's will prove to be the correct solution that we're trying to promote to the industry, customer base, and prospects that we're talking to. So Lift is our ERP platform. So ERP, MIS, Management Information System. And essentially, once a job is placed as an order inside SmartShop, we then have the two systems connected, and you can then pass an order from SmartShop directly into your business ERP system, our Lift platform. So once a job is in the system, Lift takes over. Best way to explain it is the central nervous system of the entire operation. And it's important to understand that, because Lift isn't just a job management tool, which people sometimes can get confused with MIS or ERP systems. It is a complete business management platform, and it is built specifically for print. So it didn't come from a warehouse tool and then become a print tool. It was built specifically for customers who had challenges in their business requiring full visibility, invoices, purchase orders, tracking, customer portals, um, warehouse management, pretty much everything.
Do you want to
So,
tell us about some of those challenges? You say from customers having challenges, people must have come to you in the past and said, this isn't working right. So what kind of helped you design the solution that Lyft offers?
yeah, I think the headline is a lot of systems are still server based. So you have to have a server in your business, whereas Lyft addressed that straight away. I think COVID pretty much kicked that off, where people stopped what they were doing and they analyzed and had time to change things. And they said, you know what, we need to move a lot of what we're doing from premise as a server into the cloud, because it allows my team to work remotely, work on the go, work at the customers, even work on holiday for some of us. That's also an option, but essentially moving it to the cloud. So Lifty is a cloud-based solution. It will literally take the managed orders that are placed, generates quotes, raises invoices, handles purchase orders, all within one platform. But the other benefit that it brings also is a common challenge, which is a customer portal within the Lift ERP. So I was just mentioning only 2 minutes ago about the Smart Shop offering, how a user can go to the web, find some products, change sizes, upload artwork, and place that order. They're self-serving. Actually, in Lift ERP, you can do the exact same thing, but you're just not placing the order to some degree. Um, in a secondary discussion, I'll explain why you can do that. But essentially, you're logging into the Lift platform. You can, if you want to, upload your artwork, and it's going directly into the ERP platform. And you can also, if you had a catalog, if we talk about catalogs of products, then gain a cost back, because Lift has costing capabilities in MIS ERP, and it allows you to upload your artwork, get a price, and if you're happy with that, then place that order within Lift ERP. So you can actually
Wow.
do that. And that was one of the challenges that people were asking about. One, it has to be cloud based. Two, can I let my customers do some of the work for me? And that isn't a lazy way for a business to operate. It's automated, it's streamlined, and it also keeps costs down for a business. So if a customer is looking for, relatively cheap pricing, then normally you'd say, I can't make this type of work become profitable for me. Or we can if we let the customer do some of the work. So it removes the account manager's job in regards to booking that job in. So some customers can do it all directly.
Okay, and you found that as a really strong selling point, obviously. It's wonderful that you're able to face these challenges and actually find these solutions. And from there, where does it go? Once they've got their quote, you then go in to prepare.
Yeah, exactly. So again, we're talking about these systems linking to each other. And what happens now is the job, when it lands inside Lift as an artwork upload, we can then link it to prepare. And what that is essentially is a workflow. And that is
Mhm.
the first part of the processing. So you'll hear me talk about prepare and then more laterally produce, which is the rip. And the amazing thing inside prepare is that it is powered by a very powerful tool under the hood, which is Callas. And anyone that is used to using pre-flight tools will be very aware of Callas, but it has fix-up tools in there. So when we talk about a file landing, we can then dictate where that file goes, but it's all automated. So once it's placed inside lift, that is then passed into prepare. And as if by magic, within 30 seconds, that job has been pushed through. And if we're talking, let's just take a product, customer uploads a flag, and what we can do is say, okay, well, we know what we should do with that. And based on the product that's uploaded, it would then pass it into prepare automatically. It would then take that, check it against some predefined checks that we've asked it to do, such as size and also possibly the shape. And based on the reply from the pre-flight check, will then dictate whether we do any fix-ups. So we could actually take, for example, a rectangular flag that you see at many football grounds nowadays, and also town centres. It's the one where you've got the double-sided flag, where it sits on two poles, one at the top, one at the bottom. And we could take that artwork and we can actually duplicate it. So we have one front, automatically then repeat that, and then also extend the bleed. So we can pixel clone the last pixel, we can horizontally flip that and extend the bleed, or vertically, whichever way it is. And then we can add in the extra space at the top, say 50 mil for a seam that needs to be heat welded, all automatically. So what we're saying here is that the artwork gets uploaded, we'll check it, then based on what we've found in that artwork, we'll then do all the fix-ups that normally an operator would do. So we'll duplicate the front onto the back, we'll add the extended space top and bottom, and then we'll actually push it out on proof as well. So once we've done all the fix-ups, then we'll push it to the customer on a proof approval if you set up that workflow, and the customer would then get the artwork. And you'll also see it as well as a preview, and we set the scene, you'll see the flagpole there or the street lamp, and then you'll see the banner in position. Again, all automated. So that's prepare. So the power of prepare is absolutely immense.
I was just going to say, and the way you're I know it's taking the human out of that part, but the sustainability side of it, surely you're saving on substrate, you're saving on ink. You were talking about the kind of step and repeat and the automation of nesting on these large format devices. So this is, again, we're back to the open software initiative of improving workflow and efficiency.
That's exactly it. So what prepare actually does in practice is remove the manual time-consuming work from the pre-press. Not for everything, and this is the big thing to point out, is that in the world of sign and display, things can be automated, but then there's also a manual process, and that's where this fantastic blend of the software allows you to manually work with some jobs which maybe are more complex, but then let's automate the simpler type of work. And in doing that, you'll get the file normalization, which is done, which is the check-in. We're in a known space within the PDF. You can automate nesting, so you can interlock, true shape nest, so you can maximize media usage or step and repeat. And again, what that is doing then is, on the sustainability side, reducing the amount of material that's used, the amount of time, heat, electricity, ink sometimes as well, if we're looking at the ink savings we've built in. So yeah, there's a huge amount of sustainability to be looked at as well in regards to lowering that material cost for a customer, and then a smaller environmental footprint when you are producing that.
Yeah, which in today's market is absolutely key. It really is. Everybody's up for saving on everything. I mean, financial load especially for the print industry, people really are looking to make savings where they can. And from there, off you go. It goes into production.
It does, yeah. So there's lots of parts to the puzzle, and the second part of we can term it as workflow. You've got prepare, so we're preparing the file either manually or automated, with all of the huge benefits we're going to get, giving a business back the time. and then we'll push that into produce. And that, I think this is a RIP solution that changes everything really, because um, we can now push this, and we can actually feed um, any hardware device that we want to. So that is the true power of Durst now. That is, if you move into that produce world, things get really exciting here, because this is our RIP solution, and the headline for us is, you know, we are the only RIP in the sign and display market that has GMG color management built in as standard, which isn't a small thing. GMG is highly renowned as the gold standard in color management. It's the technology that's, color critical. Color critical environments will rely on GMG. GMG's got a huge reputation in the industry. But the key thing here is that with Produce, we are a fully vendor neutral RIP. And that is the headline. So if we walk into a print shop, any print shop, we could say we could drive that machine, that machine, that machine, that machine, all from Produce, which is absolutely huge. Some of the companies that we're speaking to already have said, "Oh wow, that's amazing! I didn't know Durst could do that." Well, yes, we can. And also, we're also seeing instances where people are saying, "Well, I've got 5 RIPs. It's the same RIP, but we have to have a RIP for every device we talk to." Well, with Durst, you'll only need the 1 RIP. And yes, based on load balancing, we might end up with a satellite RIP, but you definitely don't need 1 Produce for every single piece of hardware. And that is a huge thing, because we are fully vendor neutral. So being vendor neutral, we can go into any environment, which matters enormously in mixed fleet environments. So if you've got a mix of technologies such as, Mimakis, Mutos, Epsons, Vutex, whatever they may be.
Roland's, everything.
Everything, yeah. You probably have more than 1 RIP. So for a business, we're simplifying that. Because lots of things that people don't take into account is that you might have a mixed skill set in the business, where Paul can do the Shiraz RIP or Sarah can do the Caldera. You're just going with 1 platform. So for onboarding staff in the future, it's easier. For running your business, it's a lot easier. Produce pretty much replaces all of those challenges that you'd normally find. We've now got GMG pretty much at the heart of our solution. What does that mean? The leading color management solution is now partnering with Durst. We have it as a solution. It doesn't go off to GMG and back to Durst. We've actually got it built into Produce, which, as everyone knows, GMG is the gold standard for color management. So we're proud to make everyone aware of that. We'll probably do a larger release as well at FESPA. But having that within our solution gives businesses who have color critical customers the reassurance that they know that when they produce something, it is of the right standard, the right quality, the right color space, which is absolutely huge. So we are, as we said before, vendor neutral, but having the ability to control color across mixed technologies, that's no easy feat. That is a challenge. Even for me to sit here today, that's not easy. GMG have a very, very, very strong reputation in the industry for having that ability. So mixed technologies, but with the Durst Produce solution, with GMG at the heart of our color management, that's absolutely huge. And
Are you, sorry, I was going to say, are you finding this is quite a hard sell? Are you having, because it's not cheap, nothing's cheap in this world, but are you having to kind of give it in comparison to actually the machinery you've got on the floor? I mean, how's that going?
Yeah, I think it's always been the case with software. Software sadly plays I would say the poor relation to the hardware, because people see the hardware and they see it printing and they can sell that print, and they don't realize that actually software has made that hardware communicate, to function, to operate. So we always go into a business and we always try and work in a consultative manner, which means we know there's no easy sign off nowadays. The challenges in the industry are getting harder in every walk of life, and a business is no different. So they're facing material increases. They're facing staff. In regards to the cost of employing someone now is higher than ever. So what we have to do is show that using a combination like Produce, like an automated open software initiative, the systems talking together, you'll gain a huge amount of time from that just on its own. Secondary to that, if we're working smarter and we're making the software like in Produce or Prepare, because both of those options do offer nesting, cruise shape nesting, step and repeat, to maximize material usage, you'll save cost on material because you'll be able to print, possibly on some jobs, more jobs together, gang them together, true shape nest them, which means you're using less material. So you're working smarter. Now, in doing that, you'll use possibly sometimes less ink because the process going through color management normally saves ink. And built in with the Produce software, you have ink saving as well. So just on the GMG color management, just the way it handles color will save ink. But then with the ink saving technology from Durst, you'll save even more ink. So to a business, if you're saying to them, okay, possibly your building's your biggest cost, depending on how it works. Then secondly to that, you've got your staff. And then after that, it could be material is your biggest outlay. And then after that is ink. We target pretty much 3 of those areas because we make your staff work smarter, which saves cost because they can do more things. If we're automating, let's just say 25% of their time, gives them 25% back to help the rest of the business. And then if we're using less material, well, that's your second or third biggest cost. And if we're using less ink, that's 10, 15% ink saving as well. And those figures, when you push them together, should far outweigh the investment that we're looking for in the prepare, produce scenario.
Yeah, so it's a fabulous return on investment, really,
yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
It is, yeah. And just, as I said, there's other things that never get highlighted, such as you're making it simpler for your staff to work. That's a huge thing. Staff become happier because they're not having to work on islands of disconnected systems or, oh, well, Sarah's got the skill on this machine, Paul's got the skill on that machine. You're making it a unified way of working as well, which, yeah, people don't see that value that it brings, but it does have huge value as well.
Have you come across people still walking the print floor?
Yeah, well, as I said to someone last week, I went to do a Lift ERP demo and, did the business analysis first because we were consultative. There's, as I keep saying, the software doesn't just get an easy march into a business nowadays. It has to find where it belongs. And as part of that analysis, I started chatting to one of the team and they said, oh, yeah, I've only got 5 minutes because I've got to go and do the production catch up or check in. I said, oh, I'm interested. What does that mean? Oh, yeah, I just walk around to all 7 machines and I find out where they are, what job they are printing now. We look at the next job and then we look at the material and then I'll go to the next machine. So wow, you do that 7 to 8 times a day on 7 machines. Yeah, that's what I do. That's how we know where we are. Lift ERP with the visibility we give based on the machines feeding back or the operators feeding back where they are would remove that from him. So if you look at that and let's just say, just to make him happy, he did that
Bless
once
him,
a day.
You've just made him redundant. Yeah, I don't know about happy.
Well, trust me, when I looked at the level of workload he had, I would probably put it about a meter high in regards his tasks for the day. So he was working on workflow, he was working on new, workflow methodology, and then he was also challenged with production, which is very challenging. And I just sat there and I said, well, I could remove possibly 75% of that. And he looked at me in complete disbelief because it's the way he's always operated. And it's the way the business has always operated. So there is always a change to go through. And that's another thing that probably doesn't get covered on anything, but I think it's a good thing. Change is good and change shouldn't be frowned upon because change is normal nowadays. And I think that's the lesson that I've learned when I go and see all of these businesses is that, yes, you will always get resistance, but go through that small pain barrier and adopt or adapt to that change of a new workflow, of new software, because fundamentally at the back end of the change is normally longevity for a business. So put software in place to help you succeed, to help you be more profitable, then there's a chance you will be in business because things are getting tighter all the time. So businesses have to change. Sadly, that is a fact. Whereas roll the clock back 25 years, everyone was pretty much doing the same thing, and there was a lot more work around, and yeah, margins were good. That's not the case nowadays. So yeah,
No,
people have to
absolutely.
look to
Yeah.
software.
Yeah, very much so. And this end-to-end workflow solution that Durst has come up with is fantastic. The automation is driving the return on investment, and the mixed fleets for so many people. This is such a huge selling point for you.
It is huge. And people, as I say, they don't look at Durst as a software provider. There's over 100 people in the Durst software team. Astounding. To walk into a business and say, yes, we could drive any of the machines you've got here today with one solution, one RIP platform. And also, if you need help in preparing the file, you can do that in an automated fashion or you can do it manually. So again, we come with a lot of options that some of the systems are focused purely on getting you automated. Yes, we do that, but also we give you an option to work manually as well, because in the sound display market, a lot of people do feel happier and they feel more comfortable doing things manually, but let's make them do that quickly. So give them the tools that allows them to do that with any obstacle. So yeah, that's a common thing that we're seeing.
So it's like a soft launch. It's like this is your solution, but if you don't feel comfortable completely going automated, you can still have a person.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly right. And this is the thing. I remember back in the day when, crikey, about 20 years ago, when someone walked into my business when I was only a young apprentice, and they said, "Oh, yeah, we've got this workflow, and it will automate everything." I couldn't believe my eyes. I thought, "Wow, that's it. I best go and find a new industry." It isn't, because it does sound quite worrying when someone says we're going to automate things. The word automate means make your job easier. Doesn't mean replace your job. And I think that's the common misconception here, that whenever a system becomes more automated, it's allowing you to have more time to do more complex work or just to do your job. Because we all know that teams nowadays, say in my pre-press team when I was an apprentice, I think we had 25 compositors. Nowadays, when I see studios, you're looking at between 2 and 4 people. And it must be challenges because some companies are turning over millions of pounds or even multi-millions of pounds, and the team still is very small. So that studio pre-press team will never get any bigger, sadly. So we have to rely on software to give you
Yeah.
a fighting chance, not replace jobs, give you a fighting chance.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, you take that 1 meter high workflow problem down to something where you can go home and sleep at night.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. And there should be no. I think everyone needs to look at how they can do things simpler, better, more efficient. Two reasons. One is because you can help shape your own working day and make it easier. And like say, get home to see your daughter or son's football game after school. I've missed many of those being in a pre-press environment where I've had to stay on 5, 6 hours. And on the other side is you're helping the business as well, which I think is sometimes lost. That you want your company to be around for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and that is a headline that we are trying to make businesses more profitable, have a bigger margin, or do more with less. Because yeah, sadly, teams are just getting more stress, if you will. So we've got
Yeah.
to help that.
Well, wonderful. I mean, thank you so much for sharing. And literally, this is about turning a disconnected print room into something very, very connected, automated production environment. This is where the real opportunity is, and it's a solution that you provide.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got full end-to-end solution. So we go smart shop into workflow. We can fix the file up. We can perform some magic on the file so it is print ready. Add all the things in, grommets, welds, extensions, whatever that's needed. And then we can push it to Lift ERP. And then also we can push it then straight to the workflow, the produce side, to actually hit the rip and then be ripped ready for the wide array of technology that we can drive. So it is a full end-to-end solution. And if there's parts where you say we've got part 2 of that, we need 1, 3, and 4, we can look at that. This is a case of we're just looking to try and get that automation across your systems aligned, talking, communicating, so that it does take away the pain, the stress, and it allows you to do that in a productive manner and hopefully gain more from what you're doing.
So if someone does actually have one segment of your fully automated workflow that they're absolutely in love with and refuse to let go of, that's something you will look at, Paul, is it?
Oh, totally. Yeah. And, this is why, as a solution, we're trying to offer a best in class solution. So, Durst, prepare and produce, um, pre-press automation, and then also RIP, vendor agnostic, so we're trying to fit that in that point there. But if you said to us, we've got a workflow, and this workflow, we've worked on it because workflows don't just get delivered out of the box and they're ready to go. It takes weeks, months, and years of refining. So if you said we've got a workflow, we're happy with that, could we connect your ERP to that? Then the answer would be yes, because a lot of the common terminology and technology that we've built as a complete end-to-end solution with our offering is all REST API driven, or it's built with technology that connects them together, normally REST APIs. And because we've got a REST API, that means we're open as a platform, hence our open software initiative. And we can then look at connecting with the workflow that you cannot remove from your business. So you could have web to print, you could have workflow, no issues whatsoever. We can look at connecting with those.
Oh, it's fabulous. So it's not just a case of you can print on any device. It's actually, we will incorporate your business model within our software initiative, which is, amazing for customers.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing, is that we don't come in with this wrecking ball idea of everything goes and there you go. Look at all the Durst badges there. That
Yeah.
is not the case. That's not reality. I'd love it to be, but sadly, you've got to face the fact that, some workflows have spent a lot of time on. So if that has to stay, then we can be consultative. So one thing we do, we go into a business, we look at the technology that you've got already, which could be wide format devices, it could be workflow, it could be MIS, ERP. And then based on where we feel, there could be two scenarios. Something's broken. Okay, we can come in. We've got a product for that. That would fit in there. And how would we connect to the next island of software? Oh, we do it this way, REST API. That could be one option. And then the other option could be that, based on what you do need, it could be that things get replaced because maybe they're not fit for purpose anymore. And what you want to do requires a higher investment. So that's why when we do visit a business, we are consultants in what we do and never propose a scenario where it wouldn't meet the requirement. And I think that's a huge thing as well. And I know GMG as one of our partners as well, they're very much like that. Proof of concepts, visit the site, understand what you're doing before you propose anything. So yeah, we've got part of the puzzle or all of the puzzle. So we're happy to consult with any business that wants to reach out, maybe through interest or through necessity. Things do need changing. So yeah, we're open to both scenarios.
No, it's wonderful. It is a solution for the print industry, very much so. Thank you very much, Paul, for your insight and your information. And I hope it's been informative to everyone that's listened.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for the invite, and really appreciate it. Feel honoured to be the very first on the GMG Colour Forum podcast. And we look forward to showing the technology with GMG and showing this at FESPA. That'll be the main launch. But we're very, very excited to show the software arm of Durst. And thank you once again.
Thank you. You've been listening to the Colour Forum, the podcast from GMG Colour, where we bring together the people, innovations, and ideas that shape the world of colour and print. Don't forget to follow and share with others across the industry. You can contact us to book a demo via sales.uk@gmgcolour.com.